so, because I want to make sure that I caught all of that stuff. I mean, I kind of went off on a heartfelt rant here, but I think this is all written down, but I do want to just go over it to make sure I covered everything, because it is important. So everyone around us is programmed by instinct to love babies. We all pretty much know that, okay? That's a foundation. But at the same time, the reptilian survival complex within everybody's brain says that in order for our species to survive, we need to love our babies. So there's also it's not just this like, happy fantasy, spiritual, yes, I love babies thing, okay, like everybody loves babies, but it's also the society is programmed to love babies because the society's survival is dependent upon taking care of the infants. Okay, there's also that part of it. This is where it gets confusing because, yes, you want to love baby as a sentient being, and you also want to love baby as a survival. Okay, so things get kind of confused and mixed up here. Okay, and that's what we're now separating ourselves out from, is that what is survival and what is the sentient high principles of being intimately involved with spirit and going down the path of fulfilling your soul purpose. Okay, so the offsprings, and here's one of the big problems, the offsprings, even though they're loved, okay, must also conform to the societal norms for the survival of the species. Okay, so yes, you love your child, but now you're also imposing upon it the reality of you also have to conform into our society's norms, because otherwise you might not survive. And also, bigger yet, we as a family might be ostracized from the society, and because of your aberrant behavior, we might not survive. Okay, so there's a lot of pressure here to, be absorbed into the society. Okay, so all of this is programmed into us through the genetic lineage of our ancestors over millennia of life-threatening trauma and creating in us the instinctual behavior of our Homo sapien body organism, which is, after all, only the physical home of our sentient identity. Okay, so societal programming says, stay in line, don't rock the boat, do what the man says, be productive, spending your lives in service to everyone but yourself. They're creating a workforce, okay, so that we can actually build buildings, so we can actually, look at the pyramids, okay, it took a lot of men, it took a lot of everybody to build those pyramids, a lot of manpower. This is what ensures you a safe place within your tribe and increases your probability of survival. Okay, now again, this has nothing to do with your sentient identity, but it is confusing your sentient identity. It's confusing the connection that you have with the passions of your heart's desire, because you also need to stay alive in order to fulfill that as well. Okay, so our society has actually coined many erroneous terms to keep all of us sentient, awakened, spirit-focused, and spirit-guided fanatics. I'm talking about us societal waywards under control. Okay, spiritually oriented goals such as selfless love, which, by the way, is impossible. You cannot love anything or anybody without first receiving love from spirit, and then loving yourself first, and then afterwards, then you get to experience that, and then out of you comes the expression of that love. So you cannot there is no such thing as selfless love. It doesn't exist. God loved God's self before God loved us. We are a part of God. God loves God. So therefore, God loves us. Okay, well, I hope everybody understands that. But it's so totally in contradiction to what we've been taught. And so I get that this is, confronting to some people. Okay, there's also derogatory accusations within society for those who actually do find love for themselves, such as accusations of being such self-centered. okay, supposedly as it being a very bad thing to be self-centered. Again, this is totally impossible to be anything but self-centered. It's totally impossible to think that your center is not inside of you. How else would it be? I mean, where else would it be? How could you possibly have your center somewhere outside of you? So, all of these things that we take, we take these sayings for granted that they are true, that they actually make sense, but they don't make any sense at all if you actually think about them. Okay, there's many, many more of these, anecdotes and, these things that people say in order to keep people down, in order to keep the sentient beings from, becoming totally uncontrollable. Okay, these are all created with that purpose in mind, to create in us a mass consciousness of obedience and to keep us from fulfilling the desires of our heart, because the ruling class wants us to fulfill their desires instead. So not all love the spirit-connected sentient being character of our innocent purity as babies. Okay, and we are a threat to those who have become cynical and jaded toward life. Many of us are experienced by those around us, our parents and society in general. And I can tell you this is what my experience was, not only my parents, but my whole family. I was the black sheep of the family. Maybe I was actually the white sheep and they were all black sheep. But anyway, I was the different one. And they experience us in general with duplicity. Okay, it's part of the Homo sapien instinctual programming for survival to love us and to take care of us. But if we get too out there and too confronting, boy, that can change in a big hurry, because then that same instinct for survival wants to cast us out and get rid of us so that we don't rub off on them and bring their life into danger because of the belief systems within the society. This is historical reality, you guys. All you have to do is read through the history of mankind and it's really obvious what I'm talking about. So not all of us are welcomed by this fear-based, survival-focused, hostile environment. We are unprogrammable and therefore uncontrollable in our perceptions and our expectations. We push their buttons, to put it bluntly, just as many of them once did to their parents in society before they gave up. Spirit's guidance gets completely and totally drowned out by the threat of persecution from those who are insane enough to actually dictate their parameters of soul imprisonment onto others. And number two, the resulting hysteria of all those lost souls who actually paid attention, conformed to society, betrayed their own inner knowing, abandoned their journey toward fulfilling Spirit's purpose for which they are being created. And so again, all of this is what's being imposed upon us as we go through the journey of living within the passions of our heart's desire and fulfilling the purpose for which Spirit is creating us, which is our soul's purpose. Okay, so yet we are all aware within us of our unique Spirit purpose life. We, everyone who's an awakened sentient being, we are all created with equal capacity to fully utilize the specific spiritual gifts we have been endowed with. And we all have high-level, high-degree spiritual gifts, even if we're not aware of it. And what I've been talking about is the reason why we would not be aware of it if we're not. We are all of us spontaneous, dynamic expressions of our distinctly unique characteristic aspect of Spirit. All of us. There's not one single person who is not a spontaneous, dynamic expression of Spirit. So, as such, everyone's Spirit-given purpose is different from all others. There is no one that is another Tom Hudson. There is no one that is another you. None of you are duplicates. none of you are anything short of being miraculous. I mean, all of you are miraculous. All of you are unique. Everybody. There is no person on the planet that is remotely like you as far as your purpose for existing. Yes, we all kind of look the same, and science has tried to categorize us into, parts and pieces, and science, doctors try to replace parts of us like they're interchangeable parts of the car. It doesn't work that way. As being a massage therapist for 20 years, I guarantee you we're just one piece. There is no such thing as parts in a human being. That's only conceptual categorization, compartmentalization of reality, but it has nothing to do with the reality of what's going on. So no one has a better grasp on who spirit is creating you to be or what spirit is creating you to do than you do. I would never tell anybody what they should do or who they should be or that kind of a thing. I spent 29 years trying to help people figure that out for themselves. And if someone asked me, what should I do? I say, I don't have a clue. I don't have the perspective to know what you should do. Let's figure it out together, though. I have no problem helping people figure it out because that's what I've been doing for myself for 29 years. So there is no one to go to for advice or approval. And I certainly won't offer approval, and I definitely won't offer disapproval with your choice as to what it is you're going to do. So let's get on with being us and support everyone else in being them, whoever they are, whoever you are. And I can guarantee you the people who have given me the most support are the people who are already on their path towards being them. And the people who have given me the most grief are the people who have betrayed themselves and want me to do the same thing to me that they did to them. Okay, so we're going to start off, first of all, with just a little bit of an exercise to help people. This is, by the way, one of the things that I was talking about. I guess I haven't actually said it yet. Okay, I'm going to read down the list here before we even get to it on the slideshow. I'm going to read it anyway. During today's webinar, you will learn how your goal-setting session will provide you a transformational experience. The healing that will take place creates the foundation upon which to design the rest of your life, to take a giant leap forward along a spirit-led path to freely express the passions of your heart's desires, to embrace the energetic vibrational frequencies of your distinctly unique divine spark of creation, to expand into the creative matrix of the universe, and to automatically and spontaneously generate and manifest the fulfillment of your soul purpose. Okay, so that's some of the things that we're going to learn today. And we're going to do that effectively because we are going to be focused into the front part of our brain. You cannot focus into the back part of your brain and run all the automated tapes, all of the pre-programmed instinctual behaviors that we've been talking about. All of that stuff is pre-programmed. It's stuffed into the back of your head. And any time that you spend back there, it will trigger something. It will trigger some of those tapes. And those tapes will be running whether you want them to or not, because you're back there on that computer, and as long as you spend conscious time back there focusing on trying to find out what those tapes are about and making sense out of them, those tapes will keep running and they will control your life, and they will control your life means that you're not in control of your life. It means that all of the people who came before you, all of the people who are not you, all of the people who basically went through massive amounts of drama in their life, all of that information on survival is what's back in the back of your head, and if you access it, then that's your reality, and that's what you're going to keep struggling with over and over and over again. knowing, because you're an awakened sentient being, knowing that there's a better way, but still you're locked into the pattern of accessing all of those tapes over and over and over and over and over again. So you got to break this pattern. You got to get away from that. Yes, that brain is useful. Yes, that brain is purposeful. Yes, it has a reason for existing. You could not survive without it. Okay, your physical body is linked in with the ability of that part of your brain to make 3 trillion microsecond decisions every single day to keep your homeostasis balanced. Without it, your physiology would go so out of whack, you would die within 5 seconds. You cannot keep yourself alive with the front brain, even though that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to bring your conscious awareness into the front part of your brain and access the super consciousness, but you're going to leave that part of your brain in the back alone and just let it do its job because it can. You don't have to be back there focusing on it. Your soul concept, your soul attention, your soul perception, your consciousness of soul can just leave that alone and let it run all unintruded, don't try and micromanage it because it will just screw it up. And stay into the front part of your brain and into the super consciousness of spirit where you get the big picture of what's really going on and you can perceive everything from a 40,000 foot view. So you can see what's happening. So you can perceive your life without all of the microsecond trauma drama that, these reactionary impulses and pre-programmed behavior patterns are involved with. And believe me, the world's in big trouble right now. There's a whole lot of uncertainty going on. The energy is just astronomically intrusive, and I'm sure you're all feeling it. I certainly am. It's one of the reasons it's motivating me to do this. Anyway, so we want to move forward into the front of our brain, and the front being here this part that is signified by the yoga person with the chakras, okay, and the back brain is this element here where the person is this ghoulish kind of person. And we want to stay in the front brain with the happy family instead of the two people yelling at each other. Okay, so I want to share this with you also that there is a God nutrient is what I call it. It comes from your divine chakra. We're going to take just a moment and open that. We're not going to go through the whole divine chakra prayer, but I want everybody to just imagine grabbing this opening in the center of your chest at the level of your heart chakra, at the position of your heart chakra. Okay, just grab that energy there and pull it open, like you're opening up to receive something from inside of you. Spirit, please fill me up from inside of my divine chakra. Okay, and just allow that energy to flush into you. Like I said, we're not going to do the whole thing. I gave you a link where you can go ahead and download it. You can go through this and do it yourself. Anybody wants, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and put an audio version of that on the event page. I'm just making a note here so I don't forget. Okay, so I'm gonna put the audio version on the for opening the divine chakra onto the event page after this, and so you can have that. Okay, so I want everybody to imagine this energy flushing up through the top of your head, because as it flushes up through the top of your head, it bathes all of the tissues within that channel with expansion-oriented love energy. It's euphoric. It changes the biochemistry of those tissues. That's why I call it a God nutrient. Okay, it flows through the pineal and the pituitary and the amygdala and the hypothalamus and the thalamus. And so your emotional tissues are bathed with this God nutrient, which totally changes the way in which they create chemistry, and it creates a whole different chemical cascade. So you exist within a state of peace and bliss, not just on a mental level, but on a physiological level. Okay, and then also the pituitary and, like I said, and the pineal, and those organs, those glandular organs are also creating biological cascades, biochemical cascades of hormones, and your body's run by them. It's organized by them. They are the manifestation of opulent prosperity on a physical body level. And if you're not living this opulent prosperity of spirit empowerment within your tissues, then how can you possibly experience physical opulent prosperity? Okay, so that's what that's all about. Okay, there's more to that, but we're not going to do that. I do want to share this with you, though, because we want to actually get ourselves out into the super consciousness. So tap on your forehead with your fingers of one hand. I don't care which, makes no difference. The tapping is not important except to draw your focus into the front of your brain. So tap, and now stop tapping with that hand and extend your arm out. And go ahead and place, let's say, an image of one of your spiritual guides or a spiritual guide in your hand, and I want you to focus your awareness out of your third eye onto that spiritual guide image that's in your hand, arm fully extended. Okay, and now actually extend that physical guide image another 3 feet out in front of you, so it's at least 6 feet away from you. And you are now focusing your intention through your third eye onto that being. And I want you to do it in such a way that it's like a spotlight, not a laser beam. It needs to be a spotlight kind of energy focusing on that. There you go. Okay, now by staying in this state of being, you're accessing the super consciousness of divine presence. It changes your perspective on everything. It keeps you, most importantly, keeps you out of the back of your head. So the more you practice doing this, the more you experience being in this state, this vibrational state of being, and perceiving reality from this perspective, the more you will change your perception of what there is to do, what there is to be, and it's going to make you more open to receiving everything else that's going to drive you towards the fulfillment of your soul purpose. And one of the very first things is to live from the euphoric experience of the passions of your heart's desire. Okay, now we don't have time to do all that. That would be basically taking you into, the goal setting session right now, and that's not what this is about. I want everybody to experience this. Okay, this is where you can make your decision as to pursue this further or not. Okay, so we're going to stay with that. And just as a kind of overview, now that you're in the overview mode, now that you're in the contemplation mode, basically what you're doing is you're choosing to live your life as an experience of inner peace and harmony by staying focused in the front. And you're choosing to turn away from the suffering and the angst and the paranoid chatter of the unquieted mind, which is the reptilian brain complex, which is so concerned about survival. If you think about it, a sentient being with eternal reality what are we doing thinking about survival for? Really doesn't make any sense. Takes us totally away from the purpose for our existing. Okay. And so basically focusing outward into that super consciousness. Practice doing that. It will change your life.